welcome to Retro Tech Toys, everybody. It's been a little while, but I thought this was worth the wait. This just came out. This is the Atari 2600 Plus. This was recently released by Atari. It's got an entire Atari 2600 system console here with the controller, and it comes with 10 games in one, a cartridge. And this is pretty cool. This came out, I believe, on the 17th. My shipment just came in today. I was going to pre-order it originally on the Atari website, but it said it wouldn't ship until December. So I got it on Amazon, and it literally came in maybe an hour ago. And I've got it right here. So I want to check this out with all of you. This is the box that it came in. What this is basically a 2023 release of the 2600 Atari. It will play cartridges. They're going to make some new games for it. In fact, I think they already have. I think they made a version of Mr. Run and Jump and a couple of other games. They claim that they're going to make newer games for it. This will play 2600 cartridges and 7800 cartridges. So that's a pretty cool deal. I got mine for about $129. I pre-ordered it maybe a month ago, and it just came in today. So let's unbox it, check it out. We'll see what's in here. Let's get something to cut this with. A screwdriver will work. It's not sharp, but it does the job. Let's go ahead and flip this thing this way. It's packaged really nicely. And I've noticed that these days, everything from the C64 Mini to the Amiga 500 Mini to, the Nintendo Classic Minis to these, they're all packaged, nice in a premium box with premium packaging. So I really do appreciate that. I just don't like it when I order something and you pay $100 or $200 for it, and it's just kind of thrown in a crappy box and it just doesn't look good. I love a good presentation. So we've got this here, and here's the console. Of course, it's smaller than your typical 2600 console would be, but I hear that they've made the cartridge slot larger so that games don't get stuck in there as easily. And you've got all your usual things here, your buttons. On the back, you've got controller ports. You've got switches. This is USB power and an HDMI. And that's basically all there is to it. This doesn't go online or anything like that. This is literally just made to play 2600 and 7800 Atari cartridges. Go ahead and see what's in here. Here we've got our Atari cartridge. They've got it in a little slip sleeve. And we do have some dip switches on the back. That's likely for selecting different games and so forth. But it's 10 games in one. That's pretty cool. And it looks like, other than that, looks like we've got our 2600 style controller. Looks like it would work on any 2600 system, and it actually feels exactly like a traditional 2600 controller, maybe a little bit lighter in weight, but overall, it's still got the same kind of resistance with the buttons and the joystick. And that's it for that one. And here, I'm going to get this box out of the way now. I've got a quick guide, kind of shows you how to plug in everything and where it goes. Here, I imagine it's just going to be our USB cables and so forth. Let's have a look. Yeah, basically, you've got our HDMI and our USB. Now, this doesn't come with a brick, so you have to supply your own brick, but I've noticed people are doing that these days anyway. Most companies don't include a brick. So at least it's nice that you got a nice cable here. I mean, kind of any 5-volt power brick that you have laying around going to do the trick. I'd probably go with like 5-volt, 2 amps, something like that. And there you go. This is your USB. This is your HDMI. If you hear anything in the background, my birds, I have parrots. They're in their area squawking, as they usually do. I love them. And you get a decently long cable. It's kind of hard to show in here, What is that? Probably about 4 or 5 feet. So we have 10 games in one, and that comes with Adventure, Combat, Dodge 'em, Haunted House, Maze Craze, Missile Command, Real Sports Volleyball, Surround, Video Pinball, which I actually have over here, and Yar's Revenge. So that's not a bad setup that comes with the actual console. And it says, experience the beginning of home console video gaming. And then you get the joystick, and it says 10 games in one. You get 1.5 meter HDMI cable, 1.5 meter USB power cable. Just to see how well cartridges fit. This is a new cartridge that came with the game system. Yeah, it fits in there nicely. That's a little bit of a wobble, but that's not a bad thing because that's going to help you get your games in there without getting them stuck. A small stack here of traditional cartridges. We'll give one of those a shot. Let's look at Video Pinball and see how well that fits. That fits exactly like the other cartridge. So if you pair them here, this is Video Pinball, and this is the one that came with the Atari. I mean, it's basically the same thing. Same design, about the same size. This one is not quite as wide, but you barely notice. It's barely smaller than the original cartridges. All right, let me get set up. We'll go ahead and plug in the Atari just to see how well it runs games. I want to try the cartridge that it came with and a couple of the original games. Okay, I'm back. So I've got everything plugged in, hooked up to the TV, and as you can see here from the box, anything that you want to play, you need to make sure these dip switches are switched into the correct position. So this will select the games. As you can see, we've got the dip switches here, and it's set up to play Adventure. So I think what we'll do is do Adventure, and then we'll do Haunted House. And we can go ahead and start the game. And it runs very smooth. The picture is gorgeous because, of course, you're using that HDMI output. And we're going 720p, which is awesome. And this is a standard 1080p non-smart standard television, and it looks great. The sound's really good. And now, just to let everyone know, this does use emulation. So it does use emulation to play the cartridges. So this is not, native Atari hardware that you had back in the day, of course. Now let's go ahead and get those dip switches set to play what I believe is Haunted House. Let me double check. Yes. So we're going to play Haunted House now. Yeah, 720p, 60 hertz. So there we are. If we're in Haunted House, so I just got to selected the first game. God, it's so smooth. Like, everything is so smooth. In terms of playing Atari 2600 games now in 2023, almost 2024, this is one of the best experiences you're going to get. What I'd like to do is go ahead and try an old cartridge, an original cartridge. We'll do Video Pinball. I want to see how the standard cartridge runs. It looks really great. I mean, it's upscaled that to 720p. I'm going to go ahead and pick the first game and see how it runs. Oh, nice. It runs just as smoothly as the new cartridges. So you got your original games. They work great. I do want to try one more. Let's go ahead and dip Defender in. And it looks great, just as I assumed it would. So, even stretching it to widescreen, look, as you can see, when you turn the game on, the Atari logo lights up, which is a really nice touch. And I wanted to also say that this probably has weights inside, because a lot of these smaller consoles will put weights in there to make them feel more substantial. But it feels really good, and the buttons feel nice. Overall, it feels great. And this Even with I said, even with this being a little wobbly because the slot's a touch larger, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't mess up any playability or anything like that. Now I want to talk about the price tag of $130. Is it worth $130? And who would this be for anyway? I think this is for anybody that might want to experience retro gaming with something close to a faithful version, but on modern televisions. Yes, it uses emulation, but you get a console that looks very much like an original console, even if it is smaller. You get a joystick that has been lovingly crafted to be just about like the original joysticks in every way that you can imagine. It takes cartridges, plays them smoothly. The sound is great. The video is great. So, if you got $130 to burn a hole in your pocket and you want to play Atari games on, a modern TV, or you just want to own something that Atari has put out that will play your old cartridges, for example, go for it. I say check it out. Get it. It's worth it. If this isn't your thing, if you don't care about faithful recreations of old hardware or the smaller MIDI consoles or things like that, then maybe it's not for you. But I will say that I couldn't even begin to compare this to like an Atari flashback. It doesn't even begin to compare to that. This is so much better than a flashback system. Yeah, you've got a ton of built-in games on those. They're cheap. They feel like crap. They don't even look like an Atari console. I mean, they sort of resemble them, but I mean, it's really not a good user experience overall to play one of those. Everyone is going to have their opinion, but my opinion is that this is awesome. If you have the money to spend on it, go for it. And if you don't want to buy one, don't buy one. But I'm going to be enjoying mine for a long time. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.